In your opinion, what was the weirdest part of the NBA World Cup draw yesterday?
The NBA
Oh,
World
sorry.
Cup
What the fuck am I
draw.
saying? The NBA. I got the NBA Cup on my mind. The World Cup draw yesterday.
You might be the first person in the history of the world to say I have the NBA Cup on my mind.
The only reason is because I was texting with Alexander Scott, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to Vegas next week," and I'm like, "For the NBA Cup?" And he was like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "In your words, you must be the only person that wants to go out to that thing."
The NBA Cup.
The NBA Cup, the Emirates
Coveted
Cup.
NBA Cup.
All right, take two. Steven, what was the weirdest part of the World Cup draw yesterday?
The fact that there doesn't seem to be a group of death like there usually is.
Well, okay, so again, like correct me, I'm not well versed in soccer stuff. So they pulled Group D, right, with Paraguay and Australia.
What you mean USA?
Yes, USA. Yes.
Yeah.
So what the hell was everything for yesterday? Just to see what group stage you're in, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and but the thing about World Cup draws though is that you look for the group of death. That's always my first thing. Like I was I don't know if anyone knew, but the fact that we took a week off, like I've been sick really most of this week, really ever since Tuesday. And yesterday was meant to go to Chase Center to go to the World Cup draw event. And I was really looking forward to it. And we were going to broadcast live and everything. And like it's, it's right in my wheelhouse. And I was going to be rooting for England the whole time, even though I had to, remain objective or whatever. But but my number one question, who's going to be in the group of death? And I can't really find one within this draw. So the draw is a big deal though, because the World Cup's a globally popular thing. And when it comes to the States and everyone starts talking soccer, you and Jesse, whatever his name is from Fox News, can be one aligned in saying that nobody actually likes soccer. They just root for it because it's hip.
Ooh, I wouldn't say it's hip. I think it's just people like patriotism and any excuse that people have to do that. They'll use soccer, they'll use whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, I prefer the World Cup during the summertime and not during football season. What the hell was that a couple years ago? But I get it, Okay, is it Qatar or Qatar? How do you pronounce it?
I
It's
really
interchangeable, right?
I think so. Now I don't know if I'm supposed to divulge this, but I'm going to divulge this. But with KCBS, when I was talking about the World Cup in Qatar, I had to say Qatar, but I also heard it say Qatar. I did say Qatar once, and I said, no, make sure it's Qatar because most people actually know what you mean with Qatar. Qatar might be the correct pronunciation, like worldwide, but in America, it usually is Qatar. That's how I pronounced it until I heard someone else pronounce it Qatar. Then I was like, oh, maybe I should pronounce it Qatar.
Yeah, yesterday I was like, so the reason we didn't play the World Cup during the summertime was because Qatar's so hot. And someone's like, Qatar? What are you saying, Qatar now? I'm like, I think you could say either or.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the reason why we had these games in November, 3 years ago, 2022?
Yeah.
It just seemed like a weird spectacle yesterday with Shaq pulling balls and the Village People performing and Trump doing his dance. It was just kind of a weird deal yesterday.
Yeah, a whole thing. Trump getting his medal, too.
And also, don't act like, not to do a whole politics thing at the start, but don't act like, this is real football. This is real football. Stop it. I mean, like, I know, like, that's like a, opinion that you have, but like for him to come in and be like, he wanted to be a part of the NFL and they told him no. He also had his own league. Well, not his own league, but he bought into the USFL years ago during the 80s.
Right.
And now he's going to be like, NFL, it's not real football. Now this soccer, that's real football. Please don't just try to, sway the audience that you're captivating at the moment.
What do you think he's based his entire campaign on?
I know. What the hell am I talking about?
Yeah,
just your opinion, man.
It's going with the populist thing, man.
Yeah,
he might.
I guess that is politics. You just say whatever everybody wants you to say.
Listen, I think we're in for a very, I'd say, turbulent time with the World Cup. Like Qatar was bad enough, right? Which really didn't get the publicity that it should. The fact that they built stadiums and with the hands of workers who were underpaid, and a pretty good number of those workers ended up dying. ESPN actually did like a really good piece about it on E60, kind of investigating how the World Cup took place in Qatar in the first place. But everything that they were risking, the lives that they were really sacrificing just so they could get some stadiums built that they're never going to use again. It's pretty sad. Like, so the World Cup is usually embroiled with controversy like that. And I think we're going to see a lot of what we saw, say, from Levi's Stadium during Copa America. I believe Copa America. It might not have been. It might have been in another tournament. But when two teams from South America play with a large Hispanic fan base, you wonder, like, what's ICE going to look like, going into this World Cup, and what's going to be their presence at these stadiums, because they basically, I think it was, God, I forgot who was playing. It was Mexico, and I want to say Uruguay or something. And they were playing it, or it was Honduras. It was Honduras versus Mexico at Levi's, and it usually sells out. Like, they've had no problem selling out Levi's before, where like 76,000 will show up and it will be sold out completely.
Right.
But I think only they estimated that maybe like 68,000 showed up, even though they had sold out the entire stadium. And even though that may not seem like much, that's quite a lot for people who felt, I don't know, fear out of even going to the stadium because there was going to be an ICE presence there. So I think that's going to be a large talking point throughout this World Cup, and we're not even scratching the surface of that yet. The World Cup draw is just, it's just for show. It's fun for a lot of people. But this one's going to be a doozy, I think.
Well, that was a downer. Thank you, Stephen. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa, we're coming to you on a Saturday morning. We didn't do a show last Tuesday because, as Stephen said, he was sick. And quite honestly, I was kind of, not in the right headspace to do a show after Copes called out sick not the last, but like on Tuesday and Wednesday. So to do this and that at the same time, I was like, let's just wait till Saturday. And we have a lot to discuss. We'll kind of react to what happened last week in the NFL just briefly. We'll do like little quick hits and, ask some questions. We'll pick games for this weekend. We'll talk about topics that we weren't able to discuss on Tuesday. Just real quick, Stephen, so we can, cover some things. Giannis, he's going to have a meeting with the Bucks, calf strain. You think the Warriors are actually going to get this guy? I don't think so.
No,
right.
I don't believe it. I'd have to see it to believe it, but I don't initially.
Well, okay, I'll ask you this. Do you think there's a better chance of the Warriors getting Giannis than Kyle Schwarber signing with the Giants?
I think there's a better chance Kyle Schwarber signs with the Giants than the Warriors getting Giannis.
Why is that?
Just because it's baseball. Like, you don't have to sacrifice a bunch of your future. You don't have to mortgage your entire future just to potentially maximize the next 2 years of Steph Curry.
But based on the past, I would say that the Warriors are more inclined to get guys that you didn't think they were capable of than the Giants signing guys that we've always heard they've been linked to. Bryce Harper, Juan Soto, Shohei Ohtani.
That's Farhan, though. Like, how are we? I mean, no one expected them to get Rafael Devers when he was basically made available in a trade, and Buster Posey managed to
But no one knew about that, though. No one knew about that. That was just between the Boston GM and Buster Posey.
Yeah, but people knew that Devers was disgruntled over there. They knew that he wanted out.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
What do you mean? What are you acting like other GMs didn't know that?
No, I'm just saying there wasn't a bidding war. It wasn't drawn out.
Sure.
It was just between Boston and the Giants.
Sure.
And listen, I love Bubba Morosi, John Morosi.
Yeah.
Who every year it seems like I'm hearing that the Giants are inquiring about this, big time all-star free agent. And I would love to see it reciprocated by Kyle Schwarber. So until I hear that, I don't think that's going to happen. Now, on the flip side, with the Warriors, I think that they were getting Jimmy Butler a year ago, and they got him. I think Joe Lacob is just that crazy where he'll do anything in his power to get an all-star player. But also, when you look at the landscape of the league when it comes to younger teams that can offer you more players and draft capital, the Thunder could offer more, the Spurs could offer more. When you get down to it, it's the Warriors offering Jimmy Butler, which doesn't make a lot of sense, if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, Kuminga, Pods, and a shit ton of draft picks. I'll say this also, because he's hurt and because this would be a monumental trade, and I know that Luka was traded a year ago, but with Giannis, I don't think the Bucks want to just trade him away. That's ridiculous. So I think it's going to be prolonged. As you always say, Steven, it's the NBA. So when superstars demand to be traded, they're going to get traded. I just don't think it's on Giannis's timeline where it happens this trade deadline.
Maybe not. And maybe it's not on the Warriors timeline either. Like I remember vividly having a conversation with John Dickinson. I don't remember the exact date, but we were hosting a weekend show, and a lot of it was about the Warriors and Giannis. And I think it was because Kevin O'Connor had some report when he was working for the Ringer. And it was no doubt like you trade whatever you can to get Giannis. But that was back in like 2022, like it was a while back, maybe even earlier than that, maybe even before the Bucks won the championship with them. So it might have been even pre 2021, but I remember I have it in my head with JD, like his voice, whenever a Giannis trade comes up, he doesn't know this. I've never even told him this. I don't know why, but whenever a Giannis trade talk comes up, you get him. He's Giannis Antetokounmpo. Why wouldn't you? And I can't really do an impression right now because as you can hear, I'm a little congested still. But I don't know if it's necessarily the same circumstances as it once was back in that time, just because of the timeline the Warriors are on, which it feels like they're just on like a 2-year timeline here where we're just kind of waiting for Steph Curry and Draymond and Steve Kerr to all leave the organization and just see what it looks like in the hands of Mike Dunleavy Jr. and Joe Lacob. Like that's what it feels like we're at now, instead of back then when it's, oh, how can we build on this success with Steph? How can we maximize the remainder of his career with the Dubs? Now it's just, okay, well, we got Jimmy Butler. Maybe they'll make another trade at the deadline, but what's it going to look like after Steph? And maybe Giannis is the answer for a lot of people, but then I wonder what the rest of the team is going to look like if it's just Giannis without Steph there. It's like, then you end up having like a version of like Kevin Durant with the Nets or something when everyone was just gone.
Yeah, I would say that I think people are too focused on what life looks like without Steph Curry because it's going to be terrible either way.
Sure.
So I think that they would still have the same mentality that you do whatever you can to get Giannis. But unless Giannis demands a trade to the Warriors, I don't think this is happening. But there's plenty of time to talk about that.
Can we real quick? Can we get to the baseball news that isn't?
Bob Nightingale?
Yeah. Come on, man.
Go for it. I mean, nice guy, has agreed to do interviews in the past. His phone's not the best. He's also not great with his reporting. So go ahead, Steven.
Yeah, well, he tweeted out, Chicago Cubs are close to finalizing an agreement with free agent starter Zach Gallen, giving the details a $22 million a year salary, and then just went on to describe Gallen's accolades. That was about 10 minutes before his next post, which said, update, the Cubs are hopeful of finalizing an agreement with Zach Gallen, but the deal is not done, with others still in contention. And then Jeff Passan went on to tweet. What?
He bodied him.
Yeah, he did. He said there is no deal with Zach Gallen.
Jeff Passan, I like him, but he's the type of insider to call out, not directly, but call out Bob Nightingale or John Heyman or John Morosi, where it's like, nope, I haven't heard this stuff. So if I haven't heard it, you know it's true. And then once it's finalized with Zach Gallen, then he'll be the first one to report that one and get all the credit. Yeah. That's just the insider game.
Yeah, but he is the foremost insider here.
Oh, absolutely. But you know what? Also, I will say that he was caught with that a couple years ago. I think it was the 2021 MLB deadline where he reported that Max Scherzer was traded to the Padres. And sure enough, he was not. He was used as leverage.
That's good knowledge. That's good Jeff Passan reporting knowledge.
I know my Passan. I don't know why. Okay, other big topic that we kind of talked about last weekend. Do you think Lane Kiffin should have been allowed to coach Ole Miss before scurrying off to LSU?
No.
I don't know, man. I don't blame him for taking the money and leaving. I don't, because LSU is a bigger job than Ole Miss. People could say, like, well, Ole Miss is in the CFP. I get it. And yes, it was the biggest season in Ole Miss history. But when they're giving you a chance to coach LSU and all of the resources you'll have, all the NIL money. I get why he took that job, but I blame more college football for the timeline because I
Sure.
fucking hate it. I hate the fact that Lane Kiffin has to act like he's going around and recruiting right now, even though he said he would not do that. But why does it have to be in college football where if you didn't make a bowl game or the CFP, then your season starts now, your off season starts now?
Yeah.
Where in the NFL, collectively, if you don't make the playoffs, it's not like the Raiders off season starts before everybody else. Like, yes, as far as like finding a new coach, absolutely. But free agency doesn't start before everybody else. Why is it like that? Where we need you today. Like LSU says we need Lane Kiffin today, and Ole Miss is like, well, if you take the job, and then we're giving, it's basically a big advertisement to LSU. And I get it, like his players were pissed off too. There were some guys that tweeted out, contradicting his statement saying that all the players wanted me to stay on, and they were like, no, we didn't. There was a good deal of people in that room that wanted you to leave.
Yeah.
I just kind of hate the game of college football where there's been instances in the past. Kalen DeBoer, this wasn't, a thing prior to the CFP, but Kalen DeBoer coached the Washington Huskies in the national championship game and then went on to take the Alabama job. That was only after Nick Saban retired. I'm trying to think of other examples that are not coming to mind right now. But like in the NFL, like Bill Parcells, he was head coach of the Patriots, took him to the Super Bowl. Everybody knew that he was leaving for the Jets in a couple weeks. I just think there was a way around it. I didn't like it. Of course, Lane Kiffin's a snake, and everything involved makes him look terrible and shady. I'm not defending him in that way, but I hate the fact that college football with the calendar is like this, where he has to leave his team high and dry when they're about to go to the playoffs.
I agree, but I think the word you used earlier when you started was collective. Like, I don't know the ins and outs of how they came about with these NIL rules and the transfer portal and coaching changes and whatnot, but I assume that it was not collectively bargained. I would think that this decision was made by just a select group, not everyone in the entirety of college sports, because if it was collectively bargained, I think that they would have some sort of deal where it's okay, like in the NBA or like in the NFL, there's a specific date when free agency, aka the transfer portal, opens, and that date is going to be at the very end of the season, the day after the national championship is played, not right after the regular season is over.
Yeah.
Like it's all screwed up. And I'm not going to act like I'm, some longtime fan of college football, but isn't the beauty of it kind of how you can root for the underdog, but also without all this money that's being spent, you can create this sort of program which people can get attached to just based on the fact that you went to their house, you recruited them, they chose you, and then you could beat the big dogs with them. Instead, now it's just, well, I can go wherever I want. Like, I'm just using this as a placeholder right now. And that kind of take away what the beauty of college football is, with tradition and rivalries and people sticking around.
Of course, dude, but we'll get to it later in pop culture catch up. Tradition is dead. Like the way that we go about things that, you and I grew up with, or the way that, generation to generation went about things with college football or football, sports, movies. It's all changing. It's all bullshit now.
I disagree on the movies part.
Well, we'll get to that later as movies are going to change. Just real quick, though, not that this warrants a jackass of the week or anything, but Lane Kiffin saying, I don't know the particulars of my contract, I don't know what the money is. Stop that. Yeah. Stop that right now.
That's
okay. That's ridiculous. And also him saying that Nick Saban and Pete Carroll advised him to take the LSU job. I have no issue with that. Some people have a big issue with Nick Saban being on TV and kind of leading Lane Kiffin a certain way. Right. Whatever. Like, he's got ties to Alabama. He's got ties to LSU. He's allowed to do that. He's not really, yes, he's an impartial, commentator on television, but he's allowed to give his friend advice. I thought that was a weird thing that was brought up this week.
Yeah, certainly. But we also have to look at the common denominator when it comes to Kiffin's departures.
It's Kiffin.
It's Kiffin. Whether it's Alabama, Florida Atlantic, now Ole Miss. I mean, I'm sure that obviously the Raiders. We know about what happened with the Raiders too.
Well, I always wonder, if a college job became available during his tenure with the Raiders, you think he would have bounced?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. That's 17 years after the fact. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm just remembering that time, and it was crazy when Al Davis did hire Lane Kiffin. He wanted Steve Sarkisian.
Yeah.
Instead, he wound up with Lane Kiffin. and they just butted heads from the get-go where he wanted Calvin Johnson, and the famous line from the press conference was, Jamarcus is a great quarterback. Get over it.
I rewatched some of that presser, by the way.
It's all time. And that also brings up, triggers a memory I have. Maybe I've told the story before, but it's just the arrogance of college football or college football programs where they want you to take over that team right away, even though their season's over. So during the 2001 season, John Gruden had a big contract dispute with Al Davis. And Notre Dame contacted John Gruden and said, we want you to be the head coach of the Fighting Irish. And we'll let your brother Jay be an assistant coach. We'll let your dad be an assistant coach. It is your show. He was like, done deal. I'm going. And they said, great. We want you tomorrow at a press conference. And he goes, whoa, hang on. I'm in the middle of a season with the Oakland Raiders here. And they're like, yeah, well, we don't care about that. And he was like, I tell you what, man, I don't just leave my team during a season. If you want me, I'm going to come when the season's over. But I'm not leaving them right now. And they're like, well, no deal then, because we want a guy that's going to, be the head coach tomorrow.
Right.
So I just can't stand that mentality. But again, that's just why college football, they'll throw, oodles of money at guys, and they have boosters, where the NFL, I think, has a little more integrity.
You think
a little more, Steven. A little more. Let's listen to what I'm saying. A little more.
As an organization, the NCAA doesn't have as much integrity, but good God, you're picking your poisons there.
I know, but it's the same people that are willing to throw a shit ton of cash at Dan Campbell for him to lead the Lions during a season, and he's like, no, thank you, I have a job in the NFL. Where NFL teams don't do that to each other.
Right. No, you're right.
Which I don't think they can either way.
Tampering, right?
Yeah, it will be. Well, can you tamper when it comes to head coaches? I'm not sure about that one.
You know what? That would create a little more drama. I'm in. Let's do that.
All right. More shadiness you want in the NFL, huh?
Yeah, let's get that in the new CBA, where teams can just offer a bunch of cash to a coach that's on the up and up, and you can potentially coach a better team. I think they should allow that.
Well, speaking of coaches, we don't need to review everything with the Raiders. They got their ass kicked by the LA Chargers, 31-14. You want to go in depth in this game?
No.
Okay. Brock Bowers' sick catch, the one-handed catch he got.
Yeah.
I think both touchdown catches. There was one that wasn't. There was one, I guess, that had a penalty that nullified it. The second one was beautiful. Brock Bowers, can you build a team around a tight end? God, I think you have to at this point, along with, they're all pro defensive end and Max Crosby. I think also, you and I talked about it a week ago, where Tom Pelissero had that report that Chip Kelly was messing up the play calls, and that's kind of he's a scapegoat right now for how the offense hasn't been effective. And I'd say it's twofold. I think it's Chip Kelly was the wrong move, and the offense is just terrible right now.
This is why I said it was a big game in that regard. The fact that somebody with that much inside information went and blabbed to the reporters trying to say, look, he was giving us the wrong play calls. We're a much better team without him. Whoever was saying that was trying to indicate to everybody, hey, this is Chip Kelly's fault. Like you
Gino.
said, scapegoat.
I'm saying Gino.
But in reality, it's Gino. And now you have, I know we're going to get to it. Now you have reports from Diana Rossini, basically questioning where the hell they're going. So that's why it was big. And you know what? I'm looking back at it now. God, I was trying to compare this really again to. I was trying to compare this to the 2006 Raiders once again, where it's you're building around a defensive end and tight end, but I forgot that Zach Miller wasn't on the team in 2006.
Well, God, Zach Miller, the 2011 weird free agency where it was in the summertime because of the labor negotiations. Al Davis letting him walk to the Seahawks, I always hate. And that defense is really good in 2006, but we talk about it all the time. The offense was just putrid.
Yeah.
So
Derek Burgess, Tommy Kelly. Woo!
Oh, dude, Derek Burgess, one of my favorite players.
Miss that guy.
So the Raiders 2-10, officially eliminated from the playoffs. I think for quite some time now, actually, not just last week, but for quite some time. And yes, as you just said, Stephen, Diana Rossini wrote an article today about the future with Pete Carroll. And it's funny that she wrote about this because I was going to bring this up regardless, where we talked about Pete Carroll the last few weeks, and not to diminish anything the guy's accomplished. He is a legend. No. He's been to 2 Super Bowls, won 1.
Right.
And he should be in the Hall of Fame as an NFL coach. I do look back upon 2 years ago when the Seahawks fired him, and it was pretty clear like they thought he was too old. And I told you I didn't think Pete Carroll was getting another head coaching job just because the perception is he seems a little older than Belichick, where Belichick is still, you know, aligned with the game, doing TV, and just I guess he gets more credibility because of the amount of Super Bowls he's won. Where Pete was, being a professor at USC, and it seemed more like if he was going to be an NFL coach again, he had to get desperate for any job. So last offseason, when you hear the Raiders are courting Ben Johnson, it's like, wow, if they get him, then I don't know if they're going to be good right away, but they have something developing here where he knows how to, create offenses and, build
Sure.
up quarterbacks. And then also there was Mike Vrabel, who Tom Brady had a relationship with, and Mike wanted to go with the New England Patriots. Former Patriot himself had a good relationship with Robert Kraft. And now you're seeing both of those teams just turn it around. The Bears having the number one seed in the NFC. I think the Patriots the number one seed in the AFC. Who's to say
Patriots have
that,
the best record in the NFL right now.
No, they do, exactly. Yeah. So but tied with the or maybe the Broncos are just 10-2 right now. Either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're seeing that both of those teams are thriving because of their head coaching hires. And I guess both jobs are more attractive because
they had the first and third draft picks respectively for 2024, and they happen to be quarterbacks.
Yes, like you saw that there's something there with Caleb Williams and Drake May where the Raiders had nobody at quarterback. So that's the problem right now, where it's easy to say, like, if the Raiders hired Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel, would they be in a different situation? Yeah, probably. They're probably more competitive, but they're not attractive landing spots because they don't have a quarterback in place. And now you're hearing Antonio Pierce, act like Mark Jackson on TV now, where it's going to take a long time for this team to, be respectable. And he's not wrong.
Eric.
What's up?
Decades.
Yeah, that's a little much. But I also, he's not wrong. But I just don't want to hear it from him. The same way I don't want to hear from Mark Jackson, where you sound all bitter and shit. So,
well, I try to put myself in his shoes though. Like and I'd imagine if I was, say, a former head coach of the team that I grew up loving, and they ditched me because they thought I was the problem, even though I knew there's something else going on in house. And I had a platform where I'm on national television and I get the chance to crap on the team. Probably going to take it. I'd like to think I'd take the high road, but I probably wouldn't. I would go the way of Pierce by saying it might take decades to rebuild. And also, if anyone watches that clip, like Rossini used that and just quoted it in jest, where it's really, I think there was a little tongue in cheek there. Like when he's saying, he's got a little smirk on his face. Like he knows decades is a little hyperbolic. He knows it's not going to take decades to build a franchise. You could turn something around in 4 or 5 years, and that might be realistic. But he's also not entirely wrong of where they're at, because I don't think anyone knows which direction they're going. And,
no.
And as much was said in the Rossini piece, I'll pull it up here. A lot of it was centered around actually the interesting part, the angle that Rossini took was building around Tom Brady. Yeah. Tom Brady being a minority owner. And she lays out the idea that they brought in Alex Guerrero as like a senior medical assistant or something like that.
That I did not know.
Alex Guerrero, TB24, TB12 guy, and avocado ice cream and all that jazz. Yeah. Then they talked about how you just mentioned it, the Mike Vrabel and Ben Johnson, missing out on those two. Then it gets to the quarterbacks where they missed out on potentially acquiring Matthew Stafford while Tom Brady basically shot down the idea of bringing Sam Darnold to Las Vegas. And here's the secret. I don't think Sam Darnold would be having the same type of, I'd guess, second year after resurgence last year. I don't think he'd be having the same type of year he's having with the Seahawks right now. So
definitely not.
Might have been the right idea. But then Rossini goes in, what exactly are the Raiders building? That's the question bouncing around the facility and being whispered across the league, and the people who've lived it aren't sugarcoating a thing. She goes into Antonio Pierce. Like, they might need decades to fix this bad boy. Profound. And one current Raiders staffer texted me, it's hard to argue with him, and the numbers don't lie. Since Mark Davis took over In 2011, the Raiders have cycled through 7 full-time head coaches, tied with the Jacksonville Jaguars for the most in the NFL. They are one of 4 teams without a playoff win. They have the league's worst point differential over that stretch. Where was the quote I was looking for? Is the quote below it? Oh, the quote is below it. No. Where's the quote?
From who?
God damn it. The quote from the random player
saying they don't know where they're going.
Yeah, I can't. Why?
I think it's at the beginning
it
of the article, right there.
It's at the
I really
top.
don't know what the plan is.
I really don't know what the plan is. I don't think anyone knows. One Raider said this week when asked if he felt good about the future of the team, and at 2 of 10, the Raiders sit. It has to be, because who else are they going to talk to? Are they going to talk to? They're going to talk to Lonnie Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like when you are a national insider, who are you going to text? You're not texting Trey Tucker. You're gonna text the best player on the team.
Yeah.
So I don't blame Max Crosby for feeling that way if he is the source that said that. But if I had to guess, that's who it is. I read that, and I also see, well, in the article they also they talk about Pete's future, and they don't know if he's going to last more than one season. And Diana Rossini calls this a reset to a reset. Again, it's kind of both, where it was a reset, but they were trying to win. You can't tell me that they weren't trying to win by trading for Geno Smith for a 3rd-round pick, and also making big swings to get Matthew Stafford and all of the head coaches that they went after. They were trying to win this season. Now, of course, with some of their defensive decisions, getting Devin White and Jamal Adams in hindsight, yes, that's not – they're over-the-hill guys. You're just trying to make it work with veteran players. It was also a mix of rookie players. And offensively, I really don't know what their plan was. Yes, let's get Geno Smith, but also let's make sure that he throws to Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer. But wide receiver-wise, you got Trey Tucker, and that's about it. We're going to rely on rookies and Jack Besh and Dante Thornton.
Sure.
But there's nothing there on the offensive line. There's nothing for Ashton Genty. So I really don't know what to make of Pete Carroll's future. And also, I see him in this past week be asked about playing cover 3 defenses. A very good question by a Raiders reporter. And he asks him, how come you guys are playing cover 3 when most of the league doesn't do that anymore? And Pete kind of defends it, kind of a little put off by the question, and be like, well, there's a lot of teams that run cover 3 still. And, we're just trying to find the best defense that works for us. Dude, it's 12 weeks after this shit, and you don't know what you're doing. Here, this is the question in hand from I forget the reporter's name, but I'll get it in a second here.
Jesse Merrick.
There you go, Jesse Merrick.
The stats are correct. Run cover 3 about 47% of the time this year. Pretty large difference from many other teams around the league. And I know you kind of built your resume on that style of defense. I'm just curious, as other teams have kind of shifted away from the usage, at least at that rate, why is it that you feel that is still an effective approach?
That's a good way of saying it at that rate. There's still a lot of cover 3 played around the league, but we're just trying to get really good at some basics and the things that we really count on, and then we mix our variety of things throughout. We don't want to be really predictable, but yet we also want them to have to beat us. So we're trying to learn how to play that way.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and debate a coach on what scheme he should run, what type of scheme he should run. But regardless of the scheme, even if you're putting your best players in the position to be successful, the lack of effort is glaring. Like, especially in that Chargers game, like the amount of times, and I've seen it. I think I saw it. I mean, I saw it at least twice. The one on the big touchdown run from. Who was the I wanted to say it was Kyle Manung guy, but that's from the Bears. Who was the running back who had the 60+ yard touchdown?
Kamani Vidal.
Who's the other Vidal that I was thinking of? Anyway, Kamani Vidal. It's Jamal Adams running into, I think it was Jeremy Chin. Just the amount of times that you see a couple of Raiders clash into each other. And I don't know if this happens more often than not with any defense around the league, but it feels glaring. Like the touchdown, I think it was God, I can't even remember anymore because I haven't watched back that game since Sunday. But Devin White.
It's been a week too.
Devin White basically giving up on that touchdown in the red zone when the Chargers, I think, ran it in, or it was a screen pass or something like that.
Yeah.
I was just... Where's the effort? Where's the, hey, I want to make this play? Because I'm not seeing it. And I don't care if the cover 3, you run it at the same rate or at a higher rate than any of these other teams around the NFL. Sure. But what kind of effort are they putting in? Does it matter? Like, that's the next question. Hey, Pete, does it matter what scheme you put them in? Because it looks like they give up halfway through the play.
It's bad right now. I think the effort has been piss poor since week 3, where Jeremy McNichols had that touchdown run with the Commanders.
Right.
Like, it's bad breakdowns of coverages. Yeah, dude, it's just bad defensive play.
Jason Kelsey, I don't know why this played in the back of my head, but I'm thinking of his speech from 2017. An underdog is a hungry dog. Well, the Raiders have been underdogs throughout this entire season, and they don't look hungry. They look like my old golden retriever / Saint Bernard who died a while ago. His name is Willie. He was very lazy. He didn't like doing anything. They look like my old dog Willie right now.
Okay, I was about to say, that sounds too real. That's your dog?
An old one.
Yeah, rest in peace to Willie.
Rest in peace, Willie. I loved Willie. He was one of my favorites. He ate my guinea pig second day that we got him.
Ooh.
I wanted my mom to send him back to the shelter after that. I was like 11 years old, but now we're over that. We're past that.
Was that really on you, though, for the dog eating the guinea pig?
No, it was on all of us. We turned our backs. We kept him in the garage, and for a while we had like a nice garage, and kept him in there for like a day. Then the second day we brought him out to get him used to the guinea pigs, and he just sat there staring at it. And we turned our backs for a couple of minutes, and he just pounced.
So when you say ate, did he swallow him, or did he just rip him apart?
No, he just he grabbed him, rustled him around a few times.
That's an ugly death, yeah.
And then threw him against the wall.
Yeah.
Traumatizing as a kid to see your guinea pig named Hercules. Hercules would not have died. Hercules would not have succumbed.
Hercules.
He would not have crumbled in that situation. So really shouldn't have called that guinea pig Hercules.
No, from 0 to hero, he got ripped apart from 0 to 100 like that.
Yeah, I don't know why we had guinea pigs.
Yeah, if one day I'll tell a story about a traumatizing thing that I saw my dog did years ago. It was terrible.
Point is, the Raiders are like Willie right now. Just no effort, and they don't care. He was always hungry. He was a big boy. So whenever the food came out, he was ready to eat. But this Raiders team, they're not ready to eat. They're acting like they're always full, except Max Crosby. Crosby's the only one who seems to be hungry for more.
Well, how about him pushing Justin Herbert in that game? And nothing to do with Justin Herbert breaking his hand, but Max Crosby, it was like, good gamesmanship between the two guys going back and forth with each other, and Justin Herbert kind of taunting him in his face with a first down marker. But yeah, Max Crosby's feeling it right now. We saw it a couple weeks ago where I believe he made a good play on a run and screamed when they're down 24-10. And Myles Garrett's like, that was a great play, but what the hell is he doing? Just Max Crosby's frustrated. And he thought that they were turning a new leaf with Pete Carroll. And listen, I respect the hell out of reporters that know X's and O's. A couple weeks ago, I think someone asked Mike Tomlin about a scheme he was running, and he was like, I'm not getting into details about that, but I respect your question. I think Pete's playing an old style defense, and I think also he's playing with older players, the guys I just mentioned, Jamal Adams and Devin White. Yeah, it sounds good during training camp, like we're going to add this for veteran depth, but when they're actually playing, it's like, what the hell are we doing here? So, look, we can say, was it a bad move to get Pete Carroll? He was really the third choice when it came to head coaching hires. They wanted Ben Johnson, they wanted Mike Vrabel, and he was third. And it seemed like a mutual thing where the Raiders were desperate for a head coach and Pete Carroll was desperate for a job. I don't know what the best answer is. Like, Diana Rossini also listed a bunch of coordinators that could be sought after this offseason when it comes to head coaching hires. But I don't know if any of those guys are going to change things. I don't know. When you talk about the AFC West and you have, 3 potential Hall of Fame coaches in there, I thought Pete Carroll would have been good to go along with that. But it seems more and more like Pete is just letting the game pass him by. And I hate just using that term because I know he's older. He's 73 years old, but the rest of the league just looks different where he's going back to what Seattle did 10 years ago. So
yeah,
I don't know what the best course of action is. All I know is this has just been an utter disappointment. And I don't know how they change things around when it comes to the head coaching hires.
We talk about the common denominator, and I think the one position group you can really look to and say, this is like the catalyst of all of it. It's the offensive line, whether it's the movement, the lack of stability at the position, The fact that they were bouncing guys in and out, you're giving undrafted free agents, practice squad guys, chances over rookies in the 3rd round that you selected, and you said they're not ready yet, and it's, we're in the double digits now in the weeks. Like we're week 14 now, and you're saying that some offensive linemen, some rookies just aren't ready yet. I mean, that's fine, but your team stinks. Like it doesn't matter if they're ready or not. Get them some reps. Isn't that the best way to help them develop? So from that, the Jackson Powers Johnson thing, I can't even remember the names that we were talking about earlier. It was this is between Alex Kappa and JPJ at guard, but JPJ is a natural at center. That's where he won the award in college football at Oregon. Like that's his natural position. It's crazy what happens when you play these guys at their natural positions instead of just taking them out and playing them somewhere else. I mean, he played a little bit of guard at Oregon, but he was naturally a center. The fact that Brendan Carroll is the guy leading the offensive line in the first place, and I think that did that happen in Seattle, where he brought his son over, and that was kind of the tipping point really for getting Pete Carroll out of there. Because
I don't know about that. I think that Pete just had a couple of mediocre seasons, and they wanted to go younger. And you go from the oldest coach in the league at 71 years old to the youngest head coach in the league, and Mike McDonald at 38, whatever it was. So,
right.
I don't know
what the ideal situation would have been? They build the offensive line, and at some point they could have gotten Matthew Stafford and Ben Johnson, and then got on from there.
Well, the truth is that they wanted all these quick fixes. I keep saying it, but Tom Brady has the mentality of, well, if we get a Hall of Fame quarterback, then things will change.
Right.
And Geno Smith is not that guy. Matthew Stafford is, but how would have Matthew Stafford been on under this offensive line? Probably terrible. Same thing with you just said with like Sam Darnold. That would have been awful this year. It needs to be where they become an attractive place by drafting a quarterback. That's what they need.
I'd like to just speculate. Like who gives a shit? Like this is speculation that you can't even prove. I'd just like to think that had Ben Johnson been brought over to the Raiders, then they would have the Bears rebuilt that offensive line in one offseason. I'd like to think the Raiders would have done the same. Probably not taken Genti, probably wouldn't have had a good running back, but I do believe that they could have built a mediocre offensive line.
Mediocre?
Through free agency in the draft. Because right now their offensive line is looking like one of the worst I've ever seen.
Well, a year ago, the Bears' offensive line was terrible with how many times Caleb Williams was sacked. And it felt like over the course of a free agency, it felt like a week where they, signed Jonah Jackson or traded for him from the Rams, traded for Joe Tooney, signed, was it Drew Dahlman in free agency, the center.
Right.
So they changed it fast. And yes, that's because Ben Johnson values offensive line play. That's how the Detroit Lions were so prolific offensively under him. Through the running game and the passing game was because of that offensive line. You're seeing a difference right now with all their injuries. So yeah, they probably would have improved the offensive line. But who's playing quarterback? You have to make this job attractive. So if you're hoping that you fire Pete Carroll and you bring another head coach and then things are going to change because you have enough draft picks, like you need to start from scratch. You can't just have let's go out and trade for a quarterback. I'm tired of that at this point. You got Geno Smith under contract. You might as well have him be the bridge guy, as we talked about last offseason.
Totally.
You need to draft a quarterback this upcoming draft, and I don't even know if it's going to be that good. But let me ask you this. This is something that, crossed my mind.
Ooh.
With Michael Penix having a torn ACL, do you think the Raiders dodged a bullet? Because I don't know about his future now. And we're talking about that draft. What was it, 2024?
Yeah.
Where it looked like the Raiders missed out on Michael Penix. We were mad at the Atlanta Falcons. But now we're thinking with him having his third ACL tear in his college or his football career, going from college to now, do you think the Raiders dodged a bullet there? With that offensive line too, he probably would have been pulverized.
Sure. I think they would have. I think they did. Yeah. A lot of work to do with Penix anyway before that ACL.
Yeah.
Like he just didn't really look comfortable as an NFL quarterback. Couldn't throw over the middle of the field. Didn't feel like he could throw over the middle of the field. Like when it's outside the boundary, when it's outside the hash marks, when it's outside the numbers, like he's great. But throwing over the middle of the field, he just never looked comfortable doing that. So yeah, I mean, I probably have to take back everything I said about how pissed off I was at the Falcons for taking Penix when they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably have to take that back. I said the injuries are the injury risk. I'd said it was worth it because you never know. and he could be like Frank Gore, and have all those injuries that he had in college and come back and play the most games ever for a running back. Like, you never know what can happen, but that's also comparing Michael Penix to one of the greatest Iron Men in football history in Frank Gore. So it's like, that's kind of an unfair comparison.
Well, whenever you're desperate for a quarterback, you'll always just, not even acknowledge the cons. And yes, I knew about the ACL tears at Indiana, and that's why he transferred to Washington.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know how Michael Penix would have played. Like, he's had a lot more talent on the Falcons than what the Raiders have had. So I don't know how this would have looked. And he's not the most mobile quarterback to begin with. So he probably would have been the same situation that Geno's in.
Totally.
The bottom line, though, is you need to invest in the offensive line, and you need to find a younger quarterback for this team to go into the future with.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now they have nothing offensively. So I don't know. We could say it's easy for them to fire Pete Carroll, but they can also justify it in saying this was the first year, it's a reset. And I think Mark Davis is probably tired of firing coaches every single year. So I wouldn't be surprised either way. I could see Pete Carroll staying, or I could see Pete Carroll being fired. But the bottom line is, this is not what they anticipated. This has just been an utter disaster this season.
He's going to make some terrible joke, too, if he ends up firing a head coach and brings in a new one. Mark my words when I say this is a big effing deal.
God, I hate it when he did that.
Oof.
Even though I was all hyped for Gruden to come back, but when he started that press conference by saying this is a big effing deal, I'm like, just shut up. This is not your moment. Let's talk about the Niners real quick, Steven. They are finally in their bye week.
Yeah.
It's the long-awaited bye week 14, with all the bullshit they had to deal with, all the injuries. I think this bye week's coming at a real perfect time for them. Like, when we got the schedule in May, it was, damn, they're not going to have their bye week until week 14.
Yeah.
And with everything they've gone through, and the last 4 games of the season, take Tennessee out of it, but to play the Colts, the Bears, and the Seahawks, I think it's a gauntlet. I think it's their hardest 3-game stretch, honestly, since 2019, where they had to play, who was it, the Saints, the Ravens, the Packers, 3 consecutive weeks. This is going to be tough, but I think the bye week's definitely going to help them now.
Well, absolutely. I mean, how is it not? You get a week off. I don't know. What was it going to stall the momentum that they've been carrying?
That could be the case too. But Kyle, I guess historically, has been really good after bye weeks.
I got to be honest though, like in me just evaluating it, and I know, and I'm kind of saying this as a way to remain consistent from what I said, because I truly thought that had there been rain and potentially snow, sleet, whatever, then they would have lost, because Brock Purdy just doesn't do well in the wet weather games. But the cold weather games, he's just fine. Like, he looked okay. Throwing into the wind, I thought he played pretty well. But I kind of like, I don't know. This kind of I guess this discredits what the Niners did, and I'm not trying to, but it felt like having like a week to sit on it, because the day after you want to hype up the Niners. They played with a third string middle linebacker. They're going to be getting their starting kicker back soon, and they're going to be getting reinforcements. Their offense is only getting healthier. Brock Purdy looks like Brock, and just the kind of limiting the turnovers while making the big plays to George Kittle and letting Christian McCaffrey kind of run the offense. But it did feel like the last 2 weeks, the other two teams, it felt more like the Panthers lost the game and the Browns lost the game more than the 49ers won it. Like, the 49ers took advantage, don't get me wrong, but what the punt team did in Cleveland, like, not to mention the drop fumble that ended up leading to a touchdown, where it felt like the Browns offense was actually rolling against the 49ers defense, and they were just more again, the more physical team. It felt like the Browns were in the first half, but they just kept giving them easy field position. The punt returner pitting him back on the 6, like catching it with, but what do you think you're doing, a little Tony 2 tap when you're punt returning at the 6?
Oh, Malachi Corley, that was just dumb.
When Kevin Harlan just goes, "Oh no," it's bad, right? And you want to, the 49ers are rolling going into the bye week, but you're right. This is a true test, because it felt like these last 2 games, well, they were definitely served a much easier hand to deal with than, say, I don't know, like, they were dealt it felt like in these couple of games, not so much with the Panthers. It was Brock Purdy who kind of dealt out the cards, but it was the Panthers couldn't take advantage.
Yeah.
Whereas the Browns, it's like they were just giving the 49ers pocket aces, like drive after drive.
Yeah, dude. I'm glad you said everything you did because I've been saying this for the last week where I don't want to diminish anything the 49ers did the last 3 weeks, okay? It's hard to get wins in the NFL. But you play the Arizona Cardinals, you play the Carolina Panthers, who I know had a great victory against the LA Rams last week. And then you play the Cleveland Browns. Not the biggest juggernauts when it comes to offensive football. And yes, the defense has played a hell of a lot better. But I'm not going to say right now, well, this team has changed. This team is totally different. And I get accused of being a hater on the flagship. But I'm just trying to keep it real. I'm trying to be honest about this team.
Yeah.
And I'll keep it really real. Had this team not had injuries to Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, they're definitely in Super Bowl contention. No doubt about it. With how, convoluted the NFC is right now, or I should say not convoluted, but I guess competitive or not, there's not really like a clear number one team. I would still say the Rams, but just with how each team has their flaws, the 49ers, if they had Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, absolutely they're in Super Bowl contention. But because they don't have those guys, and because I've seen this defense go up against the likes of the Rams, probably their biggest test this season, I'm skeptical about the defense. Just because they have 3 sacks against Shedeur Sanders or hold the Panthers to 9 points or give up a ton of yardage but hold the Arizona Cardinals at 22 points doesn't make a difference to me. So let me eat this carrot. But yeah, I think you and I are on the same boat here when it comes to, because I lost in picks last week. When it comes to the 49ers.
Well, we're in the same boat, I think, in the past, as far as what happens in the past as far as what's happened in the past 2 weeks. But would you agree with me on this? Because I was thinking about, I think they're a shoo-in to make the playoffs now. I think
that I don't know about.
Listen, I think the Colts are sliding. I think they could get by the Bears. I just think that going into the playoffs, with all that being said, even though I said that about the last couple of weeks, I think in the NFC, they are kind of looked at the same way as the Chiefs are looked at. And let me explain why. Why do we always give the benefit of the doubt to the Chiefs when it comes to the playoffs, no matter the talent? Why?
Because Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Mahomes and Andy Reid. I think Brock Purdy's playing well enough. As long as he can evade pressure and limit the turnovers, then I think they're good. I think they're fine. But it's not just that. You also got to attach Steve Spagnuolo into that. And I think with the lack of talent, I think Robert Saleh has really brought something out of this defense. And you mentioned the sacks on Shedeur. Well, like Cleveland Ferrell speaking to it last week, where he said, like, look, this coaching staff, they don't make you believe that you have a lack of talent. They give you the belief that you are going to win. So I think they are looked at the same way in the Chiefs, in that no team wants to see them because they have a guy like Kyle Shanahan, they have a guy like Robert Saleh, and they have a very capable quarterback in Brock Purdy who's led them to the Super Bowl all the way to overtime. So I think they're still, despite all of that, I think they're looked at in the same way as the Chiefs in that regard. Do you agree with that? I mean, or do you think other teams are kind of like, nah, they're past it. Their window's closed. Like they're just another notch on the old belt so we can get to the Super Bowl?
No, I do think that there's something to, like Steve Young saying earlier this week on the Dan Patrick Show, if the Niners in the postseason, you don't want to see them. I do think teams feel that way when it comes to Kyle Shanahan, as far as having an offensive game plan.
I think they've built up that equity enough.
They definitely have. But they're licking their chops when it comes to them defensively. And I'm not diminishing anything Robert Saleh has done. He's put together a great game plan in the last 3 weeks. But look at the offenses they've played. And yes, Tatum Bethune and Curtis Robinson have done great jobs filling in. But let's see when, like, it's different when they're home and they're able to just go downfield, like just stopping the run on Bijan Robinson or Rico Dowdle. And I think those game plans were terrible where those offensive coordinators got away from what the game plan was. For Rico Dowdle, we mentioned it, a week ago, but for Rico Dowdle to get 6 carries in that game was ridiculous. They wanted to have the same game plan that the Panthers had against the Rams, and that wasn't going to happen. So as far as just last week, let me just finish on that topic. Shedeur Sanders had his opportunities. He missed a wide open Jerry Jeudy. There was moments where the Browns could have got back into this game. the most impressive thing to me was Brock Purdy and his ability to throw in the wind and also be really mobile. This is the difference between him and Mac Jones, where probably Mac Jones would have been sacked 4 or 5 times
No doubt.
against Myles Garrett. Where
I
Brock
actually have
Purdy's
no doubt that would have happened.
yes,
Really.
Brock Purdy was more elusive and able to use his feet. You saw it on the Dougie touchdown run. But as far as the offense, you said it, Steven, they were set up in perfect situations. The kick return by Sky Moore led to, was it 19 yards for the touchdown?
I didn't even mention that.
The inexplicable 4th and 1 decision with the tight end Fannin that Kevin Stefanski's a good head coach, but he had a terrible game last week. He gave them starting field position on their own 34-yard line.
Yeah.
And then the muff punt. So the Niners, give them credit because they capitalized on the turnovers, but I'm not going to act like they went up and down the field on this Browns defense. As far as their chances to make the postseason, yes, it's very good right now. They're 9-4, and they should beat the Tennessee Titans. If they lose that game, that's crazy. But the last 3 weeks are going to be very interesting. And I know the Colts are leaking oil, and Daniel Jones has that issue with his fibula right now. But if they're able to run the football, I'm talking about the Colts with Jonathan Taylor, I think it's going to be a long day for the 49ers defense.
Sure.
Now, offensively, can they score on this Colts defense? They might be getting DeForest Buckner back. We'll see about that matchup. I just think that you're playing really creative play callers the last 3 weeks in Shane Steichen and Ben Johnson and Clint Kubiak, where they have a lot of eye candy at the line of scrimmage. And I think an inexperienced defense could take the cheese here, where if you're going to have Curtis Robinson, if you're going to have Tatum Bethune, they could get out of position here, and it's a breakdown in coverage, and we're seeing it a lot. I do think the 49ers have a solid secondary, but it's their front seven that concerns me. Yes, every now and then, Bryce Huff or Cleveland Farrell or even Keon White get to the quarterback, but it's not consistent enough, where they have the league low in sacks right now.
Yeah.
They had 16 sacks, and we talked about yesterday on KNBR, they'd have to get 12 sacks in order to reach their historic low. So right now, they're on pace to have the least amount of sacks in 49ers history. Now, the reason I say it's not a shoo-in that they make the postseason is because of those last 3 games. And I still am, I still view the Detroit Lions as a dangerous team. I know that some people kind of view them as whatever. They're 8-5 right now, and they're not going to make the postseason. I'm not so sure about that. And I know that I'm not going to put a lot of stock into their performance against the Cowboys on Thursday night. They put up 44 points, and Jahmyr Gibbs was awesome as usual, scoring 3 touchdowns. But they're playing the Dallas Cowboys defense, which is very bad right now. But their defense isn't good. They got problems in the secondary. So I think the Lions and 49ers are kind of in the same boat, where you value their offense, but defensively they have just so many problems. They're decimated with injuries. The difference to me is the Lions have the offense that the 49ers wish they did, and kind of the offense we were talking about when they put up 40 points on the Arizona Cardinals. Can this team, carry you every week, scoring 30 or 40 points?
Sure.
I think the Lions can do that. I'm not so sure the 49ers can. And when it comes to their defense, yes, their secondary is not as good as the 49ers, but they do have a better pass rush. They had, I forget his name, the guy that got 3 sacks on Dak Prescott Thursday night, and they still have Aiden Hutchinson. I don't think the 49ers have those type of guys right now. So I think the Lions are capable of, on a longer week, going into LA and beating the Rams. I could see them winning out. Where the 49ers, I got to see it to believe in when it comes to the last 3 games of the season. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they're not going to make the playoffs. All they need to do is win 1 game. But I'm not putting out the realm of possibility with all of their injuries right now that the Colts, Bears, and Seahawks could possibly beat them.
Yeah, but there's something intangible to it, though. Like, because you mentioned...
Yeah, I know.
They're scoring 23 points a game, right? That's middle of the pack. You just mentioned the sack numbers and the issues they've had in the front seven. No doubt about it. And their defense has been fine, but it's not exactly been earth-shattering. There's something that happens with these other teams when they see the 49ers and they see Kyle Shanahan, they see Robert Saleh. There's something in their head where they overthink.
No, you're right.
I really think there's something there, because it's just week after week, we see these weird mistakes being made against the 49ers. And that's not, I think that's actually giving them even more credit rather than diminishing what they do. I think there's something weird that teams feel when they face the 49ers. It might be fear. You don't want to think that any NFL team has any fear against another NFL team, but there's something there where they just overcompensate, right? It's just where the coach goes out of like why the hell wouldn't they run Rico Dowdle, right? After how well he's been playing, you're just going to put the ball in the hands of Bryce Young, who does not look like he's having much success right now. It looked like the Browns offense was rolling, but something in the head of that special teams guy, there was something mentally going on there. You don't just make two glaring mistakes where you pin your team on your own 6-yard line, and you also fumble the ball to give the 49ers a wide open door to score a touchdown. Yeah. There's something that the 49ers do. They instill fear in their opponents, and it feels like the Bears, the Colts, and the Seahawks are 3 teams that are open to that. That, like, I hear what you're saying, but it feels like something could happen where you're just like, why the hell did Daniel Jones make that play? Why would Caleb Williams try to extend that drive? Why did Sam Darnold try to make that throw? Something like that, where you're just scratching your head. You're just like, well, they're playing the Niners. And I think it happens a lot. It's happened too many times to where you're thinking, okay, well, this isn't just a team making a mistake. This is just, I think the 49ers get in the opponent's heads. I really do.
No, you're not wrong about that. And I think it's the effect of what they've done for the iteration of Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch's tenure, where they have been kind of the class of the NFC. And I know I'm diminishing that. Like yesterday I said, I put a lot of stock in what the Detroit Lions have done the last 3 years, but also I'm forgetting that the Niners went to the Super Bowl. So yes, they have that effect on teams, and they have one of the best coaching staffs in all of football. But I think we're basing this off of what they've done in the past a little bit too much. And I'm guilty of that with the Lions. But just watching the Lions the last 2 years, their offense is so damn explosive that I think that could carry them to the postseason.
Yeah.
Where the 49ers, they have lulls sometimes, where they have capable players. I mean, obviously, Christian McCaffrey is Christian McCaffrey and could get 1,000 again. We'll see about that. But as far as wide receiver play, Ricky Pearsall has been the same guy since injury. And they don't have those guys that go over the top on you, like the Lions do with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams. So,
but Ricky Pearsall can break out. Like I'm not going to say
he definitely can. He definitely can. I just haven't seen the last, since week 4. But he definitely can. Like if the Lions and 49ers played each other in a playoff game, I'm pretty sure it would look like the Monday night game a year ago, where it was 41-34, where the Lions had nothing to play for.
Yeah.
So it would definitely be high scoring. But just as far as yes, Kyle Shanahan always has his teams prepared. So I don't think it's going to be where they get blown out the last 3 weeks. I just think that they're going to give up a ton of points. And can their offense overcome all of the output from Jonathan Taylor or Kyle Monungai and DeAndre Swift, or the last week of the season where they can't cover Jackson Smith and Jigba? It's going to be very interesting. At the same time, I could give you reasons for why the 49ers would win those games. Daniel Jones could, look like Daniel Jones from the Giants. Caleb Williams could get sacked like he did a year ago against the 49ers 6 times. And Sam Darnold doesn't really play well against the 49ers like we saw week 1. But I don't know. I think we're basing it off of from years past with the 49ers, where it really was always their defense helping them out. Like if I had to compare this team to another 49er playoff team of the past, it's like 2021, where they were 3-5. They had to be dominant most of the second half of the season, and then they won that game in LA, the last game of the regular season, in order to get to the postseason. And their defense was the reason why they went into Dallas and won that game, and especially against the Green Bay Packers with their special teams, with Talanoa Hufanga blocking the punt and recovering it.
Right.
But they don't have that defense right now. They just don't. So, yes, they have a very good chance of making the postseason. But I am very interested to see how they play against these final 3 teams, because they haven't faced teams like that all season long. When they did earlier this year, when it was Jacksonville, the Rams, and then Tampa Bay, they went 1-2. All they need to do is just win 1 game to get to the postseason.
Right.
I'm not talking about the Tennessee Titans game. I'm talking about the last 3 games of the season. In my opinion, 11 wins can get you in. I don't know 10 can, though.
Well, you mean win in the last 4? Like the Titans is an automatic win.
I'm not talking about the Titan game. They should win that game going away. It's the last 3 weeks of the season that I'm kind of concerned about. But then again, it's the Niners. It's the Niners because Kyle Shanahan makes them that good of a damn team, and Robert Saleh and his X's and O's. But it is the personnel that I'm concerned about. I'm also concerned about the Lions. They are a really good team. I know they have the same type of flaws that the 49ers have, but I just think that their offense is more capable than what San Francisco can do right now.
Yeah, sure. the fact that they're even in this position, though, I mean, I know I'm repeating
course.
what I said last week. It's just insane that they're even 9-4. So right now, if the season ended today, Rams would be taking on the 49ers in the divisional round, or the wild card round, excuse me.
Yeah.
How do you think that would go?
Me and JD were talking about this. Even though I say all of
Never mind, screw this question.
No. I'll answer this because this is me going back and forth on everything I say.
Yeah.
Even though I say that the 49ers have their flaw defensively, and this is the team that put up 42 points on the 49ers, I don't think Sean McVay wants to see the 49ers wildcard weekend at all.
I don't think so.
Especially when they're the 7th seed and the Rams have all to play for, and they know that all the 49er fans will travel very well to SoFi Stadium. And then they could pull all the stops. Okay, if we lose, who cares? At this point, we're beating the odds right now. With all of the injuries we had, we're the 7th seed, and we're going to SoFi with home field advantage. Yeah, I'm not saying the Niners win that game, but any game they're going to play the last 3 weeks of the season, it's going to be competitive. I respect Kyle Shanahan enough to say that. I just wonder, can the defense prevent the other team from scoring more points? That's all I'm concerned about.
Here's another
saying.
question, then. Here's another one. Have you asked anybody on your show about Fred Warner?
No, I haven't, but I did listen to Matt Mayoko ask John Lynch about that yesterday on the game planning show, whatever show it's called.
John Lynch is just going to politic his way around.
Yeah, of course.
Say, we're working week by week. The trainers are doing a wonderful job. We're keeping up with his rehab. We're checking in with him from time to time. He's giving us good updates. So I'd say things are trending in a positive direction, but I'm not quite ready to say that he'll be ready for the playoffs just yet.
That was a pretty good impression, Steven, but he was actually a pretty more honest in saying, at this point, I'm not expecting it.
Damn.
I think the doctors have told him that he shouldn't expect it either. But then again, you're not going to tell Fred Warner anything. So he basically said it's not going to happen, but he wouldn't rule it out because Fred Warner's a freak.
John, if you're listening to this, we only imitate the ones that we love and the ones that we admire. Do not go full Red 47 on me just for that, please.
No, it was a solid impression.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, should we do a little quick hits from the week that was in the NFL, Steven?
From the last week that was?
Just quick questions because we didn't really react to anything.
Yeah. What do you got?
All right. Do you believe in the Bills' passing game right now? The running game is really good. I can't believe this is a statement I'm saying with Josh Allen. Do you believe in their passing game right now?
I do. Yeah. As long as Josh Allen's there, they got a chance. I do believe in it right now.
I don't, but just because of their wide receivers.
Yeah.
I think that Khalil Shakir's inconsistent. I think that obviously Keon Coleman's inconsistent. No, I don't think they have the guys that, if they had like a Amon-Ra St. Brown or a Jameson Williams, then they would be lethal right now. But
Stephon Diggs.
Well, yeah, that too. Like, that's the thing. Like, I love that Joe Brady changed this offense where it's more run-oriented. But at the same time, like, it's too run-oriented now where they're taking away Josh Allen. He needs to be that guy that we saw a few years ago, but he doesn't have that receiver. So it's good that you have a balanced offense, and you need that in the snow in Buffalo. But they don't scare me when it comes to their wide receiver play right now. So I would say I am concerned about that, especially their defense too. I know that they played well against the Steelers, but the Steelers' offense is just terrible right now.
Yeah, I mean, you may say that, but I'm also going off the fact that it's Josh Allen. And if they feel like he needs to run the ball more, then let him run the ball more.
Yeah,
whatever it takes to win. They stumped the Steelers. I know the Steelers have their issues going organization wide right now, where it's like, do they let go of Mike Tomlin? The hell was this Aaron Rodgers thing? This offseason was a mess. Every move they've made was a mistake. I know they're kind of in that realm. They're in the same realm as the Raiders, funnily enough. But I still believe in that for the Bills. But maybe give me 4 weeks and then I'll change my mind. Well,
you know what's crazy about the Bills is that they may have a golden opportunity where the Chiefs are going to be knocked out of the postseason.
Yeah.
And in a normal year for them, that should be where they have no issues making it to the Super Bowl. But they could be a wild card team where they have to go on the road to whatever team wins the AFC North and then play the Patriots and then play whoever is in the AFC Championship game. So this might be the toughest road, despite the fact that the Chiefs don't make the postseason, potentially. We'll see what happens here. Was Aaron Rodgers... You think Aaron Rodgers was throwing his teammates under the bus? Did you see any of these comments this past week?
A little bit.
Yeah. It's bound to happen. He, gets to the point where they're 6-6, and this is what he does. He's talking
he
about
plays
guys.
victim. Everything. Every little thing that happens to him, he plays victim. It's not his fault. Someone else's fault.
Well,
You know?
yeah, and I don't blame him for being the leader of the team and saying that guys don't show up to meetings, guys don't, show up to film sessions. But he also, he's not moving around the pocket very well. If it was a younger quarterback with more mobility, then he sees Joey Bosa coming off the edge and doesn't fumble that ball. So it's twofold. Where yes, the Steelers' offense is in a rut right now, but a lot of it is because of him. That's the facts.
Well, if I'm gonna have the energy for Tua Tagovailoa, where he comes out and essentially says the same thing and say, "Hey, maybe you should look in the mirror." Well, I'm gonna give Aaron Rodgers a little Antonio Pierce, and as you're pointing your index fingers at your teammates, how about you point your two thumbs back at yourself?
That's fair, but also we know that Aaron Rodgers accomplished more in this league than Tua Tagovailoa to say that.
It's true.
You think Cam Hayward was too salty with Josh Allen too? Did you see that?
I don't know what Josh Allen did. That looked like a faux. What did he say it was?
He
was
kneed
like
him in the stomach.
Knee in the stomach, but I didn't really see it. I was looking at it like the Zapruder film. I couldn't see it.
I couldn't see it either. But Cam Hayward, I guess he wasn't so mad at Josh Allen, but more so how referees officiate defensive players.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just think Cam Hayward got a little salty when it came to Josh Allen. Like he was the problem. I think
also
it's
pissed off with how things are going, I think.
Yeah, that's fair too. Who's winning the AFC South right now, Steven? You got the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are number 1 in the AFC South right now, with the Colts number 2. They're playing each other this weekend. And then you look at the Texans, they're 3rd.
Well, that's a difficult question because I have to look at the rest of the schedule. I am inclined. Ooh, Jaguars and Colts are playing twice.
Yeah.
And let me quick look at the schedule because they're closing it out with the Texans too.
Yeah.
Chiefs, Cardinals. I'm almost inclined to give it to the Texans.
They do have the best defense.
The Colts have 2 games against the Jags, and I need to go back to their damn schedule. 2 games against the Jags. They also have the Seahawks, the 49ers, then the Texans to close out the year. Now the Texans, they have the Chiefs. They can very much beat, although they are at Arrowhead. Then they have a home game against the Cardinals, home against the Raiders, and it's in LA playing the Chargers. Then it's home versus the Colts. So really, this could come down to this could be like the NFC North last year, except you're not racing for the 1 seed in the NFC. You're just going to be racing for the division. But it could come down to the Texans and Colts. And for my money right now, if I was a betting man, I would probably take the Texans. I just don't trust the Jags, dude. I just don't. I don't know what it is. I can't trust
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah, because he's, a double agent right now where he could throw 3 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions in a game, but still win the game.
Yeah.
I think the Jags are on the come up where they got something with Liam Cohen, but I value more of what the Colts are doing offensively, but I'm definitely valuing what the Texans are doing defensively right now. They have the best defense in all of football.
Right. Although the Jags have the Colts and Jets at home, Broncos at Mile High Stadium, Colts on the road in Indianapolis. Then they're back home hosting the Titans. So Jags might have the easiest schedule.
Yeah, but
I'd say it'd go Jags, Texans, Colts as far as strength of schedule, easiest to hardest.
But I could see the Jags losing 3 games, or they could get swept by the Colts and lose to the Broncos.
Ooh.
And that's the difference there. Where I think the Texans, they might slip up this weekend against the Chiefs. I'm going to give it to a team right now. I'm going to go with the Colts. But I do like the way the Texans are playing defense right now. And they played well against the Colts this past week. I think that you're seeing where Daniel Jones is not mobile, but if he has time in the pocket, he could still sling it. And teams are shutting down Jonathan Taylor. The bottom line with the Colts right now is they're getting out physical. They are, when they play the Pittsburgh Steelers or they play the Kansas City Chiefs, the more physical team usually wins. And that's what we saw this past weekend with the Texans winning that game. And I wonder, can the 49ers, when they play them in 2 weeks, be the more physical team? Right. They have the capability. They have that mindset. But I have to see with this linebacking core, can they stop Jonathan Taylor? So, yeah, I'm going to give it to the Colts right now, but they're definitely leaking oil. I do acknowledge that.
Yeah. Ooh, that was the longest anyone's talked about the AFC South division race on a regular pod.
Yeah, I'd say that. All right. Are the Rams still the best team in the NFC right now to you?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
I'd say they're the most well-rounded coach, quarterback, defense.
Yeah, I would say so too. I would think that, yeah, I mean, we anticipated the Rams would beat the Panthers, but we also said that the Panthers would cover. It was like a, 10.5 point spread or whatever it was.
Yeah.
The Panthers were just more aggressive with their play calls. The one thing with the Rams is they are vulnerable in their secondary. You can't go after them with their kind of, they have long, lanky corners, but not physical corners in Emmanuel Forbes and Drake Kirkpatrick.
Right.
So, or I think that's his name. I'm not sure. No, Kobe Durant. But they went for it on fourth down with aggressive play calls going deep to Tedero McMillan, and I can't remember the name of the other wide receiver for the Panthers. But honestly, it was just Matthew Stafford's probably worst game of the season where he threw a pick six. Yeah, okay. His worst game of the season. Throw an interception in the end zone, throwing a pick six. But it wasn't even that bad. They still put up 28 points. They were able to run the football. They still got Devontae and Puka. Yeah, I think by far the Rams are still the best team in the NFC.
I'd say so. No doubt.
Does Sam Darnold still give you the biggest pause when it comes to the Seahawks? Because they won that game against the Vikings, and you'll see one of the worst plays ever where it was, what's that guy's name? Max Brosmer?
Yeah.
Where he threw that interception where just take the sack on 4th and 1.
I'm sorry, but that's like my favorite type of interception where the rookie quarterback, the younger quarterback, tries to make a play and shovels it right into the defender's hands. That's basically what axed Will Levis from his starting job, wasn't it? Like that kind of play.
Against the Chicago Bears a year ago. Yep, absolutely.
Basically down. It's like it's like an inch off the ground, yet you try to flip it.
Stop trying to be Brett Favre where you're trying to make a play at the last second. It's like, nope, you just made it 10 times worse.
It's so funny. It really is.
Yeah, but besides that, Sam Darnold was kind of spooked by the Vikings defense, and of course, Brian Flores knows him from a year ago. So
yeah,
I still think the Seahawks, make the playoffs. I think they're a really good team, but Sam's the reason why I think that they get tripped up in the end.
It gives me a little. I do hesitate to anoint the Seahawks as playoff contenders when Darnold's there. I don't know why. I'm rooting for him. Like, I know it's, 49ers guys, I don't want to root for the Seahawks, and I get that, but I'm really rooting for Sam Darnold. I really am, but he does give me some pause when it comes to how far they could actually go.
All right, who are you buying more right now, the Patriots or the Broncos?
Patriots. I think Drake May is just playing out of his mind right now, whereas the Broncos, it feels like they're heading for another playoff like last year where it's like, oh, they score on the first drive of the game and they put up 7 where it looks like they're just going to roll past the other defense. And I forgot who they even played. Was it the Bills?
The Commanders.
Oh, it was the Broncos?
Yeah, the Broncos put the Commanders on Sunday Night Football.
No, I'm talking about the playoffs last year.
Oh, Bills.
Yeah, it was the Bills, right? And they put up 7. They hung 7 on them.
It was 31-7 in the end, yeah.
Yeah, and then the Bills just stomped them. So I feel like that's another outcome that they're heading towards because Bo Nix just good, but again, we've talked about it all year. Like it's just Bo Nix, whereas Drake May has gotten better and better, and Mike Vrabel's been there before. I think he has his team prepared, and their defense is playing well, and they've been able to run the football, which obviously the Broncos have been able to do all those things too. But I would bring it down to the quarterback, and I think just Drake May can potentially take them farther than Bo Nix.
I would agree. I think I put more stock into the quarterback, so I'll go with Drake May. And I think the Patriots are playing solid defense, where the Broncos are playing really good defense too. But Bo Nix is so inconsistent. I could see both of these teams getting knocked out in the second round, where the Bills or Chiefs beat both of them in like a division matchup. But yeah, I would go with just Drake May and the Patriots right now, where the Broncos, yes, they're resilient and they win most of these one-score games. But what we've seen with the Chiefs in the past year, those one-score games could bite you in the ass later on.
Right.
They always won't go in your favor.
I do give the benefit of the doubt to the Patriots run game too. Like I have more faith in Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson rather than
RJ Harvey.
RJ Harvey, who's been really good at times, but also been inconsistent. And then Jaleel McLaughlin backing him up. So I'd give the edge to the Pats.
All right, last one here. Was Chris Collinsworth actually pronouncing Marcus Mariota's name correctly?
This was the Hermione Granger Leviosa.
Yeah.
Mariota.
So, I thought it was just me.
Every single time you repeated that, I was like, Wingardium Mariota.
And yes, when you hear the introduction, when Marcus Mariota is introduced to Sunday Night Football, he's like, Marcus Mariota, or where'd he go? Oregon. And then Chris Collinsworth basically says that the entire night, like, well, Marcus Mariota. And then I think at one point he said Marcus Mariota. And I was like, is he like pulling a me right now where he's emphasizing his T's more than normally?
Yeah.
But
no, it's pretty clear that a producer got to him and said, look, he pronounces it this way. It's not duh, it's ta.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, all right.
So then again, are we all guilty of doing what I do and not really pronouncing Marcus Mariota's name right, where we just kind of softly say the T at his name?
I don't think so. I remember Peter King with one of his articles on SI, and he put his entire pronunciation in phonetic spelling.
Uh-huh.
And I remember because it was after the draft, and it was because Roger Goodell pronounced his name wrong. So I read that article, and
did he call him Mariota?
Marioto.
Marioto. Okay.
Marioto. But Peter King made sure to correct that and say, no, it's Mario. And I do remember it saying "ta," not "duh." But as we do, we just pronounce it a certain way, and then come to find out years later that he pronounces it a different way.
Yeah,
and we're still gonna call him Mariota. It doesn't matter. And Chris Collinsworth ain't gonna change that.
Oh yeah, no, we still call Tyrod instead of Tyrod.
Tyrod.
I just felt like in that moment, like, all right, Collinsworth kind of feels like me, where you have to overemphasize the pronunciation because everybody tells you you're getting it wrong all the time.
Well, I mean, it was just the producers. I mean, you got the chat all up in your T's.
Yeah, all the time. I'll probably have to hear that shit tomorrow at Massier's or Massey's, however you fucking pronounce that place too. All right, that's enough of those questions. By the way, we're going to be at Massey's tomorrow, Walnut Creek. Steven's got to take the day off. He's got to do baby stuff, but I'll be there with Walter and Danny, and I think AJ Cruz is coming through. I think Tacky's coming through. I want to say both the Ernies are coming through as well. So if you got time tomorrow, come on through and hang out and watch football with us during the Niners bye week. Because Massier's is closing down, which sucks. I love that place.
Good wings.
Very good wings. Big, spaced out sports bar that's been in the Bay Area for quite some time. But yeah, apparently they're closing it down. So we'll go there for not one last time, but one last time for the JYOM crowd as we were there a year ago. All right, let's do our picks for Week 14 in the NFL.
Oh, God damn it.
And Dan Dunn saying he's coming through. Nice, Danny.
It's been a week. All right, here we go.
No, it's all good. All right, Steven. You and I both picked the Dallas and Detroit game. We didn't do it on the podcast, but I'll just tell everybody what we picked. The Lions were 3-point favorites. The over-under was 54.5. The Lions ended up winning 44-30. So both of us picked the Lions to win. We laid the points and the over. So both of us are starting off with 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's start with the Miami Dolphins taking on the New York Jets. The Dolphins are 3-point favorites. Over-under 41.5.
I'd like the home dogs in the Jets, but I just don't trust them. I'm going to lay the points with the Dolphins. I'll take the over.
I'm doing the exact same thing. I think that the Jets have shown you the last few weeks that they could put up some points, but the Dolphins got their groove again offensively and defensively too. So give me the Jets to win this game, lay the points, going over on the 41. Then we got the Tennessee Titans taking on the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are 4-point favorites, over under 33.5.
Yeah, I'll just lay the points with the Browns, but I'll take the under.
Doing the exact same thing. I think that this might be a long day for Cam Ward. Better question is, do you think Myles Garrett has the potential to break the all-time sack record in this game?
I mean, absolutely.
I think he's 4 away, so it's on the table. He's got 19 right now.
Yeah,
he's definitely going to break the record. I just don't know if it's going to be this week, but that'd be awesome.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
Did he drop that again?
No. It's been a few years.
Okay, yeah, when he was on the sideline?
Yeah. I don't remember who the other defensive lineman was, but it was just so... How should I describe this? Like cathartic to hear 2 menacing defensive linemen quoting Shrek like the rest of us.
Act like children, yeah.
Yeah, where he's just quoting Shrek. Do you know the Muffin Man?
Well, dude,
then
who was it earlier this
tackle
year?
turns around and goes, the Muffin Man.
Dude, I mean, football players love quoting movies, whether it's, age-appropriate movie or a child's movie. But also, who was it earlier this year? The two guys were referencing SpongeBob on the sideline. So
Yeah.
that's what brings us all together, and is our love for movies, or just, quoting movies or TV shows in the
Listen,
end.
dude, I'm telling you, if you put me in a sit-down interview with Nick Bosa and George Kittle where it was just distinctly animated shows or movies, it'd be a hell of an interview. I'm just saying.
That probably wouldn't be
I'm
bad.
just saying. I'm just saying.
All right, moving on. The Commanders are taking on the Minnesota Vikings. I think both quarterbacks are back. Jaden Daniels definitely for the Commanders. I think J.J. McCarthy for the Vikings, unfortunately. The Commanders are 1.5-point favorites, over under 44.
I still think the Commanders are a pretty good team whenever Jaden Daniels is healthy, so I'll just lay the points with the Commanders, and I'll take the... God, what's that number again? What'd you get? 44?
44.
Yeah, I'll take the 44. Such a middling number. I'll take the over.
Doing the exact same thing as well. I think that, with Jaden Daniels back, they should put up some offense. And he's back. I thought he died in that game against the Seahawks. Everybody freaked out that he's playing in that game.
Well,
he's back
the other way.
Yeah, I know, but it wasn't like the season was over. And then J.J. McCarthy, I don't know what to make of him right now. So yeah, give me the commies, lay the points, going over. Then we got the New Orleans Saints taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are 8.5-point favorites, over under 41.5.
Yeah, just lay the points with the Bucs and take the over.
I'm doing the exact same thing because Bucs. I think they're getting back Mike Evans, or he's got the practice window open. Nevertheless, the Bucs should win this game and put up some points on the Saints. So give me the Bucs, lay the points, over. Good quarterback duel, but the record for the Bengals makes this not as sexy. Cincinnati taking on the Buffalo Bills. No Joey Bosa for the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are 6-point favorites, over under 53.5.
I'll take the Bills to win. I will take the Bengals to cover, and I will take the over.
I am taking the Bills to win. I'm going to lay the points, though. I think it's more than a touchdown in this game. I think the Bills put up some points, obviously, with the Cincinnati Bengals defense. So give me the over as well. Bills get the
middling here. It's middling. The experts on CBS have this scored. Bengals, out of the 7 guys who picked games, 4 picked the Bengals, 3 picked the Bills, and I believe they're still the same point spread.
The Bills are a better football team than the Bengals right now. I think they're similar in that the offenses are better than the defense, but the defense for the Bills still has some guys that can get to Joe Burrow in this game.
Yeah, but 6 is a pretty big number still.
Not that big for where both teams are at.
I mean, it hasn't changed at all. Hasn't moved.
Yeah.
It opened at 6, and it's still remaining at 6.
And I believe Josh Allen has never beat Joe Burrow, so first time for everything. All right, then we got the AFC South clash with the Colts taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Supposedly a lot of heavy rain in this game. The Colts are 1.5-point favorites, over under 46.5. The Colts have not beat Jacksonville in Jacksonville since 2014.
Well, I think the time is now. I'm going to lay the points with the Colts, and I'm going to take the under.
I'm going to take the over, and yeah, I think that the time is now for this trend to change, and I think that the Colts now are kind of feeling the pressure of now being behind in this division. They are the better team over the Jacksonville Jaguars, so give me the Colts. I'll lay the points. I'll go over. I think that you could see Jonathan Taylor score 3 touchdowns in this game like he did earlier this season. All right, then we got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are 6-point favorites, over under 43.
Just because it's one of those grimy Ravens-Steelers games, I'm going to pick it as I always do. I'm not going to lay the point. I'm going to take the Ravens to win. I'm going to take the Steelers to cover, and I'm taking the under.
I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens winning this game. I'll lay the points as well. I think they're playing better football than the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. And the Steelers
No.
just...
Steelers are covered.
No, I heard you.
You said lay the points as well.
Oh, my bad. Yes, lay the points with the Baltimore Ravens. Different than Steven says. I just think that the Ravens are playing better football than the Steelers. I don't think the Steelers have much offensively right now. I think this will be a slugfest defensively, so I'm definitely doing the under as well.
Just striving for accuracy, bro.
No, I don't blame you, dude. Then we got the the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Seahawks are 6.5-point favorites, over under 44.5.
Yeah, I'll lay the points with the Seahawks. Give me the over.
I am going under, but I'm doing the exact same thing where the Seahawks win this game handily. Then we got the Denver Broncos taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Last time these two teams played, it was a 3-point game. It was a terrible game on Thursday Night Football. Broncos won 10-7.
Arguably the worst of the season.
I would say so. Broncos are 7.5-point favorites, over under 40.5.
I just think one team is rising while the other team is falling. So I'm just going to lay the points with the Broncos, and I'll take the under.
I'm doing the exact same thing. Part of me wants to say that the Raiders could cover in this game, but I don't believe it. I just don't. I think that had this game been a blowout, the first meeting, then maybe I'm inclined to take the Raiders as a cover here. But I think the Broncos pull away in this game. Even though all their games are close, I think just the way the Raiders are playing right now, the Broncos should just beat up on them. Then we got the Rams taking on the Arizona Cardinals. The Rams are 8.5-point favorites, over under 47.5.
Yeah, I think they're looking for a bounce back. Lay the points for the Rams. Give me the over.
I am doing the exact same thing. I think with the way that the Rams played a week ago, they want to show their dominance once again. So they beat up on a bad Arizona Cardinals team. And Kyler Murray not coming back the rest of the season. I think that we've seen his last game as a Arizona Cardinal.
Whoa.
You don't think so?
I think it's pretty. You just never really tend to go that far.
I think so. I think with everything that's been reported and kind of a weird injury where he's just gone the rest of the year, it's not that severe. I think they want him gone. Even Jonathan Gannon was asked about it, and he was like, I'm just focused on this weekend against the Rams. It's like, we'll see if he has a job. But, yeah, I think Kyler Murray's done with the Arizona Cardinals.
All right. Mac Van seems awesome. I haven't met him yet. But Raiders fans got no hope for the Raiders, but I'm taking the Raiders plus 7.5.
Mac Van is the dude.
I'm like, where's the hope at, though, Mac?
Nah, I know.
Oh, man.
He's loyal to the soil, man. He is down with his Raiders.
That's fun.
Even though they suck right now.
Yeah.
Then we got probably the best game of the weekend. The Bears taking on the Green Bay Packers. Packers are 6.5-point favorites, over under 44.5.
Yeah, I think this can be a close game, so I'm going to have the Packers winning. I'll just take that because of the at home, but I do have the Bears covering. I think it's a big old number, and I'll take the over.
I think that the formula for the Bears to win this game is they have to run the football, and they may have the power to do that with Devontae Wyatt, the Packers defensive tackle, being out for the season. But I think something in this game that people aren't talking about a lot, Ben Johnson, when he was introduced as Bears head coach, said that I have a lot of respect for other teams in this division. You got the Lions and Vikings making the postseason. I have respect for Dan Campbell and Kevin O'Connell. And I enjoy beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. And here's the thing, Matt LaFleur and him are not boys. They're not tight like that. So Ben Johnson just wanted to say something cool to give him street cred with the Bears and Packers rivalry. And I think that Matt LaFleur is going to rub it in this week. So I think they're going to slam the run. I think they're going to get after Caleb Williams. I got the Packers winning the game, laying the points, but I'm going under on the 44.5.
About that.
Then we got the Sunday Night Football game. The Texans taking on the Chiefs. Third time these guys have met in the last year. I think it was one regular season game where Tank Dell got injured in the playoff game, obviously. And I think if the Chiefs lose this game, they might be outside of the playoffs. They are right now, but kind of cementing it. The Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites, over under 41.5.
I'm going to take the under. That's first and foremost. Like I wrote down Chiefs minus 3.5.
But do you believe it?
I don't know if I do. Yeah. Sorry for the earphones there. I went really hard into the microphone, but lay the points with the Chiefs. Take the under.
On paper, the Texans should probably win this game, which is how banged up the Chiefs' offensive line is. But the Texans never beat the Chiefs. And I'm not going to say they're not going to make I'm not going to say they're missing the postseason until I actually see it. I know that Andy Reid had a funny line this past week where he said, we're going to tickle your tonsils the rest of the way. I kind of believe him. I do think there's a capability in them where they can run the table here. So, yeah, against my better judgment, I do think the Texans are the better football team right now, but give me the Chiefs, lay the points, and I'm going under. And then we got the Monday Night Football game. It sounds like Justin Herbert's going to play in this game with the broken hand. The Eagles are taking on the Chargers. No Jalen Carter. He had a procedure done on both shoulders. Despite that, the Eagles are 2.5-point favorites, over under 41.
And the Chargers could get Omarion Hampton back too.
Yep.
And Justin Herbert looked okay with the hand. I think he could play through that injury. But I'm still going to give it to the Eagles. I don't know why. They're both 8-4. Lay the points with the Eagles. Give me the over.
I'm doing the exact same thing. I think that we make a lot of, the Eagles and just their losses the last 2 weeks, but this is, a recipe for them where they could get off the schneid and be in a nationally televised game. I think that they can. I'm not going to say run on this Chargers defense because the Eagles haven't been able to run all season long, but I think it's going to be. I took the over, so I don't think it's going to be a defensive slugfest, but I think it's where Justin Herbert might struggle, and this is where the offense kind of gets rectified a little bit, but enough for them to win the game. So, yeah, I'm taking the Eagles.
All right.
There you go. Those are our picks for Week 14 in the NFL. All right, Steven. You got a little jackass of the week?
Oh, God, I forgot about Jackass of the Week.
You
You do yours first, and I'll think of one.
All right, I'm going to do mine on Quentin Tarantino. He's been making the rounds. He went on some podcast where he was giving his takes on movies, like his favorite movies of the last century. And he called out a lot of people, actually. First and foremost, he said that West Side Story, the remake, was one of the best movies he's seen in quite some time because it solidified Spielberg as still one of the best filmmakers. And I don't know why he had to say this on top of that. He adds, Spielberg's one of the best filmmakers in this past century. Scorsese hasn't made an interesting movie in the last century. Huh. And I'm like, dude, hold on. Scorsese paved the way for you, man. There wouldn't be a Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction if there wasn't Mean Streets or anything, Goodfellas, anything that Scorsese has made in the gangster genre. So I thought that was disrespectful. And to say like Wolf of Wall Street and what else in the past 25 years?
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon. Like Scorsese's made a lot of great, like The Departed. Like what the hell are we talking about here, Tarantino? Plus, he also added that he did his top 10 list, and I think number 1 was Black Hawk Down. Number 2 was Toy Story 3, which I like Toy Story 3. I don't know if it'll be number 2 in my best movies of the past century. I thought it was a great ending with Toy Story 3, but then he has There Will Be Blood, and he said it would have been number 1 on his list if not for Paul Dano, and Paul Dano is weak sauce when it comes to acting. And I'm like, okay, you can have these opinions, Tarantino, but do you have to be like this hot takey podcaster where you're just shitting on people in the industry? Paul Dano's a pretty good actor. I wouldn't say like the most amazing actor, but to just like to call him out and you're in the same circles, I just think that's kind of a jackass move.
To call him weak when he went toe-to-toe with who's considered the greatest actor of our generation and Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yep.
Yeah. That answer was weak sauce. I don't know where he was getting those opinions from. And this is coming from the guy who hamstrung himself by saying, oh yeah, I'm only going to make 10 movies, then I'm going to be done. That's why it's taking so long for him to release another movie, because it's like he's only got so many left and he wants to make this the best thing possible, where it's like, what, you got one left and you just keep rewriting it? When are you going to release it, Quentin? Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it gets a lot of it gets a lot of praise from critics, and
as it should. It's
widely
good.
regarded as a really, really well-made film, especially for like the artists out there, right? To the casual viewer, is probably really boring, but I think with kind of the production design and the characters and all that, like a lot of movie people really love it.
It's a love letter to old school Hollywood.
Exactly. And so, they appreciate it for that. But to go on and say all of that, especially the Martin Scorsese thing, like Wolf of Wall Street is all time, dude.
Oh yeah.
Like Inglourious Bastards might be better. I love Inglourious Bastards so much. I think that's my favorite of the Tarantino film catalog. It really is. Like I don't know. I also have like a memory of seeing it with my dad, so like a personal memory like floods back with it too. So I think that I account that to it.
Yeah.
I did not see Wolf of Wall Street with my dad. No, sir.
Saw that with my sister. That was a huge mistake.
You saw that with your sister?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And right away when DiCaprio's blowing coke into her ass, that first scene, you're like, well, here we go. Strap in, sis.
Yeah, off a silhouette of butt cheeks.
Yeah. But I mean, like, yeah, like who is Tarantino to say like all this shit?
Yeah.
Scorsese. I mean, some of the movies he's made in the past century, The Departed. You always have to say it that way.
Yeah.
Wolf of Wall Street. Guy, Shutter Island, I think, is underrated too. And yeah, Tarantino. It's been what 6 years since he's made a movie, and it always has to be perfect. I just hate that he's like same thing with these sports writers when it comes to the Hall of Fame this weekend, where voting Barry Bonds or Roger Clemens. He's so gatekeepy when it comes to what is like a good movie, what's not a good movie.
Right.
It's subject. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder when it comes to art, in my opinion. So I hate when he gets on his high horse. I love him as a director and I love him as a writer, but when he gets all like gatekeepy about movies, I'm like, whatever, dude.
Right. Right. It's just, I mean, the opinion's there, but I don't know. It feels too strong to just call out luminaries of the business. And Mac Van, you might be right. He does like movies that don't use the N word or maybe no toes, not too many feet.
Yeah, that's true too.
So I think we got to take that into account. And look, man, we can get into Inglourious Basterds. I think Inglourious Basterds is just, I mean, I think Christoph Waltz might be the great, like if we're talking, we're doing a lot of quarter century stuff, especially with lists. Like, I think if you're talking antagonists in movies, I mean, you obviously got to put Anton Chigurh up there in No Country for Old Men. You got to put any of Daniel Day-Lewis's characters, really, whether it's from Gangs of New York, that's another one, or There Will Be Blood. I think you got to put those up there. But to me, Christoph Waltz, in that role, whose name's escaping me right now, but in that role, like I watched it pretty recently. I just don't think there's anyone better than whatever his name was in that movie. So we totally got off track, but point being, yeah, Tarantino was wrong to call him out. Why'd you do that? Come on, man.
A little too much. Hans Landa.
Yes. With the creme.
What's the Brad Pitt when he's speaking Italian? Gorlami. Great movie. It's not my favorite of Tarantino's, but it's definitely up there.
Yeah. But see, like AJ, I don't know if he made Inglourious Basterds. I think he was just the cherry on top of what was already a sweet movie.
I mean, he steals every scene he's in. I mean, yeah, sure. He's the best actor in that movie. Brad Pitt's great, but it is Christoph Waltz, 100%.
No doubt. But like, I think there's an entire movie, man. I don't know, the scene in the bunker where they're getting drinks, and the whole movie flips. Yep. I think that scene is just, I think it's all time.
Yeah, it's good.
Anyway, yes, he did. Accept it. Okay, AJ, good conversation.
Do you have a Jackass of the week?
I guess mine would have to be the guy getting his phone in Jonathan Kuminga's face, and now this thing's going viral where him and GP2 are having conversations at the end of the bench. Like, I don't know, just sticking your phone in the face of some. It's great for the clout, but I don't know. You do that much. You do it. It made me laugh. I can't lie. It made me laugh.
No,
when I think about it, would I really want someone putting their phone in my face in the front-facing camera, invoking on my private conversations?
Yeah, so if you don't know what we're talking about, I guess a Warriors fan went behind the bench where GP2 is talking to Jonathan Kuminga, and he says, quote, "I found her on the gram. I was like, you trying to come to the game?" She said, yeah. And then Kuminga goes, "You got a hit, man." And then they notice that a guy is filming them on the bench. And you know what? Whatever. They're just two dudes having a conversation. They're allowed to do that. Yeah, I think it's a jackass move for a fan to get that invasive in their privacy like that. So, yeah.
Do you think, though, that... Do you think that Kuminga's court vision is explained by that video? I did not notice that in the peripheral, because that's the joke that's been going around. I'm not going to act like that was the original statement. Okay? That was not the original joke, but I'm not going to act like I came up with that, but we're all thinking it. Like, we see Kuminga's
That's a very good line. I know Kuminga's going through it right now. Yeah. I think Kuminga's going through it right now where his body language just sucks. Definitely sucked in that game the other night.
Good God, man. Jesse and I were watching that. We're just like, do you see how pissed off Kuminga looks at the end of the bench right now?
Yeah, and also his agent is definitely playing games right now while he's tweeting out, in the fourth quarter of OKC, just been like, what the hell's going on around here? Like he's Vince Lombardi. Yeah. It's like, dude, okay, yes, he was given some juice in the third quarter, but you think he really deserves to play fourth quarter minutes right now? Pat Spencer's giving all the juice right now to this team.
Yeah. Hey, man, that moment, and Jesse will attest to this too, when she started talking to me about stuff, just stuff, asking what I think of things. They were showing, we had the Warriors post game on.
Yeah.
And when they started showing the replay of Pat Spencer, my vision was off. It was like Jonathan Kuminga, tunnel vision, Pat Spencer going off saying, I'm that motherfucker.
Dude, that was a hilarious moment where he's like, hey, I'm that motherfucker, man.
It's so good. It's so good.
I know.
So good.
And we got to hear more of Pat Spencer, but have you heard him in interviews? He's got a hard lisp.
Yeah,
He's got a hard lisp.
Yeah. I like
But you
that
know
about
what?
him.
No. And he deserves a roster spot. I just don't know who you to take off the team in place of him right now.
I don't know. It's the
And they got time for that.
You got the Guy Santos versus Jonathan Kuminga question that you brought up last year. Like, what do you want? Maximum effort guy or guy who's clearly more talented and more, I guess, more heralded than Pat Spencer was? Do you still stick with I think it's like going between Brandon Pajemski and Pat Spencer. Who would you rather have right now? And
Well,
I know a lot
dude, I
of
mean, if
people
I'm
say
being
Pat
honest, I'm willing to trade Kuminga and Pajemski right now because that's a game where both those guys need to play better.
And you know what's interesting about that? This is something I did want to bring up. Like, I wonder, like, did Joe Lacob get over his skis by propping these dudes up as the next generation of this team?
Well,
Like, it feels like they have this expectation because the owner's telling them that they're this superstar. Then they have this attitude that they are the superstar when really they haven't earned it totally.
yeah, I would say that Joe talks too much about what he sees on the basketball court when he doesn't have the same eye for talent that Steve Kerr, Bob Myers, Mike Dunleavy Jr. have had for years now.
Right.
And
I'd like to think that. Sorry, I'm sorry.
No,
I'll
go
let
for
you
it.
finish your point. But I think that, like, with the way Kuminga was handling his contract situation, with the way Pajemski's talking about putting himself in the same vein as Steph Curry, as far as like bringing this new generation along, ushering in the next era, whatever you want to call it, feels like Joe Lacob kind of pushed that. You know.
No, you're not wrong about that. I think that he definitely does that with Kuminga. When it comes to pods, I think he's just, he talks a lot and overly honest when he says he could be the next Ohtani and the next Steph Curry. And I understand why some guys on the team are like, please, dude. It hasn't been consistent enough. In order for them to win a championship, like I get it, like we're having fun with Pat Spencer right now, but we're talking about minutes when Steph Curry's not playing. Like, they need to be better when Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green are on the court. And then I'll worry about Pat Spencer later. But I have more faith in Pat Spencer being that guy that can help them off the bench as opposed to Brandon Pajemski and Jonathan Kuminga. In order for them to contend for a championship, those guys need to do a hell of a lot more, and they're not right now. And let's be honest too, from what we've seen so far, Kuminga could have all the potential in the world, but in order for them to maximize on this time, they need to use him to get something better. Now, does that mean to get CJ McCollum? No. Like, you need to get something better than that, but does that mean Giannis? Probably not. So you need to find a happy medium. Anyway, we have more time to talk about the Warriors in another episode. Okay, last one, pop culture catch-up. I just wanted to talk about this. Netflix buying Warner Brothers. Say what you want about, like, streaming platforms now. Like, we all have them, and we're all a little more comfortable watching stuff in our house as opposed to going to the movies. I love going to the movies. One of the best theater-going experiences of my life just happened this past year, where I went to go see one battle after another in a crowded movie theater with my little brother at the Grand Lake Theater in Oakland, and it was lively. It was awesome. And there's multiple times this year when I went to go see Mission Impossible, The Naked Gun, and I just love the movie theater going experience, seeing Sinners in theaters. I know that there's some movies, I'm guilty of it, where I'm like, wait till streaming for that one. And we are more comfortable just watching movies at home. This happened during the pandemic. So that's why you're going to see streaming platforms like Amazon Prime buy up MGM, or right now with, Netflix buying Warner Brothers. I'm not so concerned with, is Netflix going to bundle HBO Max together? Whatever. We'll figure that out later. But this does diminish the movie-going experience of going to theaters. I think it's going to be like, what's the guy's name? Ted Sarandos, whatever the CEO of Netflix is.
Right.
He said that, he has some naive comments where he says Oppenheimer and Barbie could have been just as awesome seeing that movie at your house as opposed to seeing in theaters. That's just naive to say. That's so stupid. And also he's saying that, a lot of people can't walk to the movie theater anymore. I can, but I understand like that people don't have that luxury. So don't kill the movie going experience. I understand the market for it is dying, but I just hate seeing shit like that.
Yeah, I know. And this could have some real ripple effects. I'd like to sit here and say, like, this is a good thing for the movie, but it's not.
It's
But
not.
it's not. Although, the one thing that really caught my attention too is it feels like we are getting back into the movie going experience. We're actually going for the movies. Like I really think the Marvelification of the movie theater experience kind of ruined everything for everyone because we just associate the movie theater now with these, like AJ said, for these big budget superhero movies where in reality there's a lot of other good ones out there. And Paul Thomas Anderson said something earlier. It was in an interview with like some French publication. And he says like 2025 is not a weak year. Said everyone's always complaining, but let's take a look at it. Weapons, Bugonia, Sentimental Value, Eddington, Blue Moon, Nouvelle Vague, Vogue, whatever, Marty Supreme. Whoever wants to complain about films right now needs to cool it. And
I agree.
I can agree with that too. And I think this year's a pretty damn good year for it. The Oscars, it looks like one battle after another's running away with everything.
Sounds like it, yeah.
They're sweeping the award season right now. The Oscars ain't the only thing. There's a bunch of awards out there, and one battle after another is kind of sweeping everything. The only thing that's really up to question right now is like Best Actress and all that. But I agree, and I don't know, the whole movie theater going experience, if you don't enjoy it, then fine, but I just can't stand the people who ridicule others if you still go to the movies. Like, why do I go to the movies? I love sitting in a theater with some popcorn, with some Coke Zero, and just watching whatever's on there.
Yeah.
28 weeks later, went to that. Recently, we saw Complete Unknown. It was fine, but I enjoyed it in the theater. The Led Zeppelin documentary, watched that in the theater. Recently, I just watched One Battle After Another twice because I loved it. And I forced Jesse to go watch it with me a second time. I don't know. I think there's like The Naked Gun. Like that brought me back, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Everyone's actually like reacting and there to laugh instead of just wanting to stay silent, not knowing when to laugh. A lot of people didn't know when to laugh in One Battle After Another. I was cracking up through the whole thing. And I get that skills. Other moviegoers ruined the experience for me. People can't shut up or put their phones down. I understand that. But I just think if you grew up with it, if that was kind of what you did when you were younger, I think you can appreciate it if you go back and give it another chance.
No, 100%. And I'm not, I mean, you and I are not trying to be preachy like Nicole Kidman before every AMC movie where she's like, heartbreak feels good in a place like this. This is why we love the movies. I'm like, yeah, we get it. We know that stuff. But it's true. Like, I think there are always like AJ Cruz shitting on, like these big time movie houses like AMC. Like, I get it. Like, some people don't have good theater etiquette, and that pisses me off. But if you go to a Grand Lake Theater
Skills
or who'd I say?
You said AJ Cruz.
My bad. Skills. If you go to a Alamo Draft House or a Grand Lake Theater, they know like this is an experience, and I just want to have that option. Right. I don't want like Ted Sarandos in the statement when Netflix bought up Warner Brothers was saying we're still going to have Warner Brothers releases in theaters, but the run times are not the run times, but the theatrical runs will probably diminish. And I'm like, I don't want that. And that's a slippery slope. When you do that, that's where some movies, you'll have the option probably where you want to see it in theaters or go watch it on HBO Max or Netflix. And most people will just watch it in their homes.
Yeah.
So I understand like this was inevitable and this is the market now. This is business when it comes to movie companies having to be bought up by streaming platforms. And this is the inevitable of Netflix having everything when it comes to, streaming, live sports, probably concerts going forward. I just like to have the option of going to the movies. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, sure. And AJ Cruz makes a point. Theater experience is great, but if I can get a movie for the price of one ticket and my whole family can watch, no question how I'm doing it. Yeah, there's no arguing against that. That's for sure. We are talking from the standpoint of two people who don't have the family to consider, when we're talking about going to the movies.
I get it.
Where we have plenty of free time on our own. It's not going to be that way anymore for me, but come February, but I totally get where Age is coming from with that.
But there's nothing like, I'm not going to say that I know this firsthand, but like you can ask parents, there's nothing like taking your kid to a first movie, going in the movie theater and them crying their eyes out, but it's annoying for everybody else, but that's just a part of being an adult. It's how it's how we all grow up, whether you're, a parent or a child. That's just hard. That's part of the experience. So I don't know. I don't like that news, but that's business now. All right, everybody, that's going to be it for today on Just Your Opinion, man. We'll be back on Tuesday. Warriors are like pretty much off this whole week, right? With the NBA Cup going on?
Correct.
right,
they have like a makeup game against like Dallas, I think, or something.
Okay, well, we'll be back on Tuesday night to react to the week that was the NFL. Thanks, everybody in the chat. And also, if you guys want to come through tomorrow, Danny Dunn's in the chat. What's up, Dan Dunn? He'll be there with me and Massier's tomorrow, along with Walter. I think Tacky's coming through, both the Ernies and AJ Cruz. So if you got time, if you want to do a little JYOM meetup, come on through tomorrow. Thanks to AJ Cruz. Thanks to the Skills Report. Thanks to Mac Van. Thanks to Dan Dunn. Thanks to Jesse for saying that Netflix is the true jackass of the week. I agree with that one. Thanks to Pat H. Thanks to Rocka New Era. Thanks to Ernie One. All right, everybody. We'll see you on Tuesday. Steven, say what you always say.
A little pop culture catch up. Jesse, I'm going to respond to that. We are going to go watch even more Stranger Things provided by Netflix. That's just our opinion.